बस एक फ्लैट ले लो फिर रेंट पे लगा देना, टेनेंट EMI भर देगा. It's one of the most common pieces of financial advice in India. You buy a house with a home loan, put it on rent and let the rental income take care of the home loan EMI. Meanwhile, the property keeps appreciating in value. Sounds like a perfect plan, but obviously there is a problem. In most cases, the math simply doesn't work. A detailed analysis by Value Research shows that for home buyers, rent doesn't even come close to covering the true cost of owning a property. Let's look at the numbers. Suppose you buy a flat worth 1 crore rupees, which is fairly common in many Indian cities today. You make a 20% down payment of 20 lakh rupees and take the home loan of 80 lakh rupees. At an interest rate of around 8.5% and a loan tenure of 20 years, your monthly EMI comes to roughly 84,500 rupees. Now let's look at the rent. A similar flat may fetch around 50,000 rupees a month in rent. So right away there's a gap. Your EMI is 84,500 something and your rent is 50,000 rupees. That's a shortfall of 34,500 every single month. And that's before we count for other expenses. This is where the rent covers EMI dream usually starts falling apart. Every property comes with additional costs. There are maintenance and society charges, there is property tax, there are repair expenses, sometimes tenants leave and the flat remains vacant for weeks or even months. And whenever a new tenant moves in, brokerage may have to be paid again. Add all of this together and your actually monthly shortfall can become much larger than it first appears. In other words, the rent is helping, but it's definitely not paying the entire bill. So why does this myth refuse to die? Because most people compare rent with EMI and stop there. They don't compare rent with the total cost of ownership. There's also an assumption that rent will keep rising sharply every year. In reality, rents do increase, but often not fast enough to catch up with the EMIs, maintenance costs, taxes and other expenses. And then there's another assumption that property prices will always go up. Well, history shows that's not guaranteed. Some locations perform exceptionally well, others can remain stagnant for years. Unlike stocks or mutual funds, real estate is also relatively illiquid. Selling quickly isn't always easy. So when can this strategy actually work? To be fair, there are situations where buying for rental income can make sense. For example, if the property is in a location where unusually high rental yields, or if you've made a large down payment which significantly reduces the EMI, or if you eventually plan to move into a house yourself. In those cases, the numbers can look much better. But for the average investor buying a typical apartment with a large loan, rent alone is unlikely to cover all the costs. The bigger lesson here is that a house can still be a great long-term asset. It can provide stability, it can appreciate in value for sure, and it can generate rental income. But buying a property purely because the tenant will pay the EMI can be a dangerous assumption. What do you think? Would you buy a property if the rent covered only part of the EMI? Or would you rather rent a house and invest the difference elsewhere? Let us know in the comments. If you found this explainer useful, don't forget to like, subscribe and share with someone planning to buy a house. Thanks for watching.